you just wantonly throw out the net and don't, do good background checks on these individuals, this is what you get. So I think there has to be better follow-up of these individuals. I want to applaud the Trump administration for saying we got to put a halt on this. We got to get a control of what has happened in our country. Tens of millions have come into this country illegally, unauthorized, and to include people that I think that the Joe Biden administration wanted to be here, as well as Iranians that they released and Syrians they released into the streets.
An Afghan national guns down two National Guard soldiers in broad daylight just blocks from the White House, and Americans are demanding answers. To help us understand the security failures, the implications, and the bigger picture, we're joined by our good friend, Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, combat veteran, former U.S. Congressman, and a leading voice on constitutional rights and national defense. He currently serves as Executive Director of the American Constitutional Rights Union and Chairman of the Dallas County GOP, and he is the host of the Steadfast and Loyal podcast. Alan, always great to see you. Hey, we had this incident in D.C., of course, a deadly incident, Afghan national gunning down two National Guard members right here in the Fort Worth, Texas area where I'm sitting right now, and you're the chairman of the Dallas County GOP, of course, Alan. We learned over the weekend that another Afghan national was arrested and charged with making terroristic threats to bomb up a building in the Fort Worth, Texas area. It seems we have a very big problem on our hands, and the Biden administration letting in these waves of unvetted Afghan nationals and various other Muslim nationals is posing a big security problem. How do you see it?
Well, it's a very big security problem. It's good to be with you, Eric, and Merry Christmas to you. There are some 5,000 that were part of this Operation Allies Welcome that have national security concerns. And one of the things we should have done was there should have been better vetting of these individuals. That did not happen. And, I spent 2.5 years in Afghanistan, and I have 3 of my former interpreter translators that we did properly vet them, and they are here in the United States of America living great lives with their families. But when you just wantonly throw out the net and don't, do good background checks on these individuals, this is what you get. So I think there has to be better follow-up of these individuals. I want to applaud the Trump administration for saying we got to put a halt on this. We got to get a control of what has happened in our country. Tens of millions have come into this country illegally, unauthorized, and to include people that I think that the Joe Biden administration wanted to be here, as well as Iranians that they released and Syrians they released into the streets.
Yeah, President Trump cleaning up Biden's mess, and it's a very big mess, Alan, as you just laid out. At the end of the day, it seems that the left, which is howling about President Trump's immigration policies, the shutdown now on immigration from places like Afghanistan and Somalia, terror hotbeds, it seems if we continue down the road that the left was taking us, we'd end up like Western Europe. And you look at London now, Berlin, Paris, etc. That's the end game.
That is the end game. And for whatever reason, sadly, it seems that that's their goal. Who'd have ever thought that we live in the United States of America as we're getting ready to come up on our 250th celebration of our independence, that law enforcement officers would be getting attacked because they're enforcing law, and especially immigration law. So this whole undermining of the sovereignty of the United States of America, first and foremost, is unconstitutional. It's a violation of Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution. But even more so, it's quite disconcerting that they would want to see this country fall. And, you and I are here in the state of Texas, and we have a huge problem here in the state of Texas as well with this infiltration, as you just talked about what happened over the weekend with the gentleman that wanted to attack Fort Worth. But remember, the largest Islamic terrorist funding case, that trial happened right here in the state of Texas. It was the Holy Land Foundation trial. And we have yet to really put a stem on the flow of Islamofascism and jihadism here in the state of Texas and across the United States of America.
Yeah, Alan, how big of a role does the Muslim Brotherhood play in all this? You mentioned the Holy Land Foundation, of course. That was a Muslim Brotherhood front. We had Greg Abbott here in Texas recently announcing a ban on the Brotherhood, and CARE, which is a Brotherhood satellite. President Trump, on the federal level, now targeting the Muslim Brotherhood as well. How important is it to target the Brotherhood, which I really consider the granddaddy of all modern Islamic terror groups?
Yeah, you wrote a great book about that, and they are. They started back in 1928, and Sayyid Qutb who was one of their founders, was educated right here in the United States of America. Look, we've got to go and once again read that strategic memorandum of the Muslim Brotherhood here in North America, which was found in 2004 in an FBI raid in Northern Virginia. And all of those affiliate organizations, we've got to outlaw them. We got to ban them, and we also have to follow the money. We cannot allow them to continue to build all these Islamic centers, or as you see with Epic City, which now they're trying to call it the Meadow, because this is just another way that they try to hide themselves and infiltrate into our communities.
Yeah, and Epic City is in Plano, Texas, the Plano area. Again, not far from where you and I are sitting right now, Alan. About a minute left before the break, then we'll bring you right back. When we talk about the Brotherhood infiltration plan, you think of Texas, you think of Dearborn, Michigan. Zoran Mamdani being sworn in January 1st in New York City. Yeah. How big of a blow is that to Judeo-Christian civilization and to New York City, of course, as a whole?
It was huge. I want people to think about it. On the 25th anniversary of 9/11, who will be the mayor of New York City? Someone that is an avowed supporter to Islamic terrorist organizations, to include his mother and father. So that apple did not fall far from the tree. So we have got to look at this and see, just the same as in Dearborn, where the mayor there told a Christian pastor he was not welcome in his city because the pastor was speaking at the city council meeting, didn't want to see a street dedicated to a Hamas sympathizer and supporter. This is happening in America. We don't want to go down the path of the UK and, as you said, France and some of the other Western European countries.
Alan, right now, the USS Gerald R. Ford is near the coast of Venezuela. Thousands of U.S. troops in position as well. What is the next stage here? Is this perhaps, do you think, a run-up to a military operation against the Maduro regime in Venezuela?
Well, I think without a doubt what you see with that level of maritime power, and it's going to hurt me to say this, but when you want to extend your hegemonic dominance and power, that's what you send an aircraft carrier and a Navy to do. What you're looking at is without a doubt isolating Nicolas Maduro, isolating Venezuela, and especially their work with the transnational narco-criminal terrorists. We're talking about non-state, non-uniform enemy combatants, and I don't think that we're looking at a full-scale invasion of Venezuela, but without a doubt, I think it's possible that we could be looking at attacking some of these narco-terrorist bases and operation centers, and maybe some of their drug-producing facilities.
Yeah, Alan, tell us more about that, those narco-producing facilities. Obviously, we've targeted those drug boats over the past few months as well. Tell us why Maduro is a threat to U.S. national security. I think about under the Biden regime, many Venezuelans and Venezuelan gang members flooded into the United States, bringing drugs with them. Tell us a little bit more about why he's such a problem.
Well, I think he's such a problem is because he is creating a sanctuary for these narco criminal terrorists, and he's given them a base of operations. I mean, you look at Trinidad operating on the streets here in the United States of America, that's a Venezuelan gang. And I think that that's just an extension of his non-uniform belligerents and enemy combatants that he has flooded into the United States of America. So I think that without a doubt, he is behind a lot of this. But I don't know if the Venezuelan army, the generals, their military leaders want the type of heat that they see being brought by the United States of America and that type of attention. So they'd be more than happy to cut bait from Nicolas Maduro and cut bait from these narco-criminal terrorists and not allow them to have sanctuary there. But also remember that Iran, China, Russia they have all had great relations with Iran. Once upon a time, you could fly direct flight from Caracas, Venezuela to Tehran, Iran.
Yeah, no, great point. And this is in our hemisphere. Again, that China, Russia, Iran coalition aligning with Maduro. What do you think overall, Alan, on what you've seen out of the Pentagon so far? Almost a year now, the Trump administration, Pete Hegseth at the Pentagon. Things were a mess. It was woke gender madness at the Pentagon under the Biden regime. But now things seem to be taking a turn for the better for sure. How do you see it?
No, without a doubt, we've gotten the military focus back on its core competencies, which is recruiting, which is training, deploying, fighting, and winning. And I think that's very important. And I think that show of force and the refocus of our military away from the cultural Marxism that we saw of the Biden administration sends a message to our foes, being it Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, and also Islamic terrorists, as well as these narco terrorists. So I think that we're on the right track. But we've got to continue to keep this up, and we cannot see the political pendulum swing next November and then the following in 2028.
Yeah, peace through strength is back under President Trump. But as you said, those midterms loom only 11 months away, Alan. The China threat also continues to loom. We're talking about national security threats here. You've warned a bunch about the communist regime in Beijing. What do you think about President Trump's posture towards Xi Jinping that we've seen over the past 11 months or so?
Well, I would not be throwing Xi Jinping a state dinner. The guy who is our number one geopolitical foe that basically has said, the United States of America is our enemy. Without a doubt, the ingredients for fentanyl comes from China. I don't think I'd be treating him to, any nice American meal. But I think without a doubt, what we have to do is start putting economic pressure on China. The reason why you have North Korean troops that are supporting Russia in Ukraine is because of China. The reason why Russia is able to continue to do what they're doing is because of China. So China is the one that we have to topple. All you have to do is read their Belt and Road strategy. That tells you exactly what they want to do in creating themselves to be a true hegemonic dominant power.
Yeah, Alan, about 30 seconds left. I think of President Trump with China and with the Arab Gulf states in particular. Is this sort of like foreign policy through commerce, dangling those economic carrots to bring these people to the table?
Well, without a doubt, I think so. And especially when you look at the dealings with a country like Qatar, when after Iran, they're the number one supporter of Islamic terrorism and activities. Yeah. So I think that what President Trump is trying to say is that we want to bring you into a world economic consortium, but we're not going to do it as long as you continue to support the evil that you support and the enemies that you support. I don't know if we can do that with China. I think that what we have to do is strengthen our production and manufacturing base in order to compete against them and to push them aside from the goals that they have.
Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, well said as always, my friend. Great to see you folks. Check him out on the Steadfast and Loyal podcast. Alan, God bless. Merry Christmas. Stakelbeck Tonight, my all-new nightly series on current events through a bold biblical lens. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an upload and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time a new video is posted. And don't forget to share your thoughts, insights, and comments below. Thanks for watching, and God bless.